Hey there everybody, my name is Shiva and I wanted to walk you all through my problem statement focused hypothesis framework. Effectively, I use this a lot to help up-level experiments, kind of create more higher impact, higher value experiments running through the program. A lot of times what you'll hear is, I have a test idea. And when we look at this framework, that tends to be ideas that come kind of in the solution only phase to say, this is a concrete tactical idea, let's run this test. And this framework can work from kind of a left to right or right to left perspective to effectively use problem statements as a mechanism to link research into hypothesizing as well as solutioning. In that previous example, I kind of just gave someone maybe will come to you and say, I have a solution, I have an idea, we should test this. Where I think ultimately this could do is, all right, great, you have an idea, we should test, a larger buy box. Great, fantastic idea. What is your hypothesis? What is your if-then statement? What do you believe will happen based on making the buy box bigger? Okay, well maybe you believe you'll generate more interest, more people will see the buy box, you'll have more real estate to add some things, or maybe make the call to action larger, and as a result see more conversions. Great. So now you've taken that step. Now let's take it another step back to say, what is a problem statement? Where is the evidence you have to generate that this is truly a problem? And that tends to be backed in a lot of times research. So things like, heat maps, session recording, qual and quant feedback, wherever you kind of capture that feedback from, ultimately give me your evidence for this, hypothesis and where you're generating this problem statement from. Potentially they might come back and say, well, I don't have any evidence. It was just something that Amazon's trying, which, fair enough, might be an idea worth trying out, but I would tend to deprioritize those ideas versus if there was some quantitative data or qualitative data that says, when we looked at a bunch of session recordings, we saw people kind of just missing the buy box entirely, or the tap targets on mobile were too small, so people were kind of getting frustrated with it, so we have to make it larger. And that's why we want to test it more specifically on mobile. And that'd be a great idea because that's the problem statement to say users are having trouble tapping specific components in the buy box on mobile. And that's kind of the issue leading into the problem statement, that users are having this problem. So then you're hypothesizing that making it bigger will improve, and then their solution is in the ultimate design. So that's kind of a quick walkthrough of this. But ultimately, I think that helps pull solutions towards problem statement identification, which should ultimately be backed in some sorts of research. But I also think it's helpful to start from the perspective of the research and then generate problem statements from there. What you could do is, you looked at heat maps, you looked at analytics data, and you have a series of problem statements. From there, link those problem statements towards the business. Use that as an opportunity to understand what the business is trying to prioritize, because you might have identified maybe 10 problem statements as a result of all of the research you've conducted. But then you present those problem statements to leadership, to people involved in decision-making processes, and then collectively agree that these are the top 2 or 3 problems we need to solve for, rather than having a bunch of solutions backed in hypotheses and then kind of not really having any clear guidance as to things you should optimize. And this helps, there's other frameworks that we are generating that kind of speak to this point, but it also helps in kind of goal tree mapping and making sure that the business is aligned and optimizing for the same KPIs, and you're not kind of just mishmash spaghetti testing, kind of just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks testing, where maybe you have a bunch of solutions not backed in problem statements or research. But ultimately, this is done in a manner to pull forward high quality experiments, back it in research, prioritize the right problem statements, and then identify the proper solutions using kind of problem statements as a mechanism. So would love for y'all to download this, maybe paste it on your wall. It is in fact my background for one of my desktops, so I never forget that all of my experiments can and should be run backed in research. And please feel free to contact me if you have any positive or negative feedback. Would love to hear if you're using this framework and you've seen great success with it. Would love to also hear if you maybe have some criticisms or pushback to say, I don't think this is the right way to do this. Here's another way that maybe we could reskin it. I'm more than open to feedback and would love to hear your kind of thoughts on this. So please feel free to reach out to me if you have any other thoughts, feedback, commentary, or anything like that. Hope you enjoyed this.